This old man right here ran 68 marathons, 424 half marathons, and 2 times of 80-kilometer race all around the world. Not to mention about 10 pull-ups he does easily. And I know you're probably wondering, who is this man? Well, to answer this question, I need to go back to the time when I lived with this man. In 2016, I had to make a biggest decision ever in my life at the age of 12. And the decision was either going to Serbia to play tennis and to study the language there, or staying in Japan where I was born and I was basically raised there for 12 years. For most of my life, I've been to Serbia a couple times, but most of my life was in Japan. My domain was in Japan. And then I decided that I wanted to go try new things and to explore the world at the age of 12, and I went there in 2016. I was blessed to have this opportunity to go to Serbia and to live there for 4 years with my grandparents, and the man that I mentioned in the beginning is my grandpa. And back then he would force me to run and do all this conditioning, but to be completely honest, I freaking hated running. I did not like running at all, and I did not find any joy in running. Last year on February was a turning point for me. So on February I bought my first Asics running shoes, and I started running because in my matches I would cramp a lot of times, and I did not like that. I mean, who likes cramping, you know? I was casually playing a match, you know, I was there, I was physically ready, but the only problem was that I would cramp every time I play a long match. I was talking this with my grandpa and all of my family members about my body and how I hated my body because it was simply cramp every time I play long matches, and I wanted to change, and I thought it was finally a time to make a change. And I was talking with my grandpa on the phone, and he was like, well, I told you back then when you were in Serbia that you should start running a lot and do a lot more conditioning in order to avoid or prevent cramping. And I remember after that phone call with my grandpa, I immediately bought a Asics running shoes. It was around 60-70 bucks, and I bought it on Amazon, and the next day it came here. And I remember the day that it arrived, I went on to run 15 miles. I still remember this vividly. And it was rainy outside, and I felt really good. I'm not sure what was happening with me, but maybe it's because of the shoes that I wore for the first time, and I was super excited. And I went on a run 15 miles, and I called out my grandpa after I ran, and I told him, I simply thanked him for forcing me to buy shoes and forcing me to start running. And since then I started running long distances, from long distances to short distances, and I simply fell in love. And at that time when I started running, I noticed how actually hard it is to run a long miles. And that's when I gave when I had a lot of respect to my grandpa, was when I actually run with myself and I experienced it. So I ran half marathon like a couple months back, and I still remember, how is this guy still going? Like, he's 77, he's 78, still runs this marathon. I never even ran a marathon in my life, and he's still running all these races, and it was just simply crazy thing for me. I feel like people need to get this, because it's hard to understand for someone who's not running to like fathom the distance of marathon and half marathons. Those are crazy long miles and kilometers, and I think it's really good for all of us to do a big physical event like once a month. Let's say you go you apply for a marathon and you go on and finish it, and then you finally realize how hard it really is. Well, this was basically it for my running story, and if you like this video, don't forget to check the video down here, up here, and yeah, I'll see you all in future videos. Peace.